Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
I'm Mac.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to talk about our top 10 new to us games in 2022. And if you haven't watched our 10 games that just missed out on this, kind of mostly because there were a lot of games that we've only got to once this year, we made a second list of that. You can go check that out. And on that list, we announced that we're doing a little giveaway for this, and that'll be a giveaway of Marvel United. So there'll be a link to kind of a video describing how you can get entered into that giveaway below. But otherwise, let's get right into our top 10 list of new to us games this year.
Yes.
2022. I'm going to start off with a bang. A lightning bang. I think that's what it was called in German. Is Blitzkrieg lightning?
Oh.
Or is it thunder?
Yeah. I think it's thunder.
It's one of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a two-player only game, Blitzkrieg. It's a tug-of-war game where you've got a bag of little tokens that are either ships, airplanes, or tanks, or else there's some other things as well, but mainly those ones. And then you're putting them out on the different areas of the world that are on this board, and you're trying to kind of influence those based on the value of the tokens, and trying to push into your enemy's territory. And if you get far enough, you kind of win that zone. Or if by the end of filling in that zone, someone's ahead of the other one, they'll win that as well. It's just a really awesome tug-of-war game. It just makes for some interesting moments of tension where it's like, oh, I could do this to really get ahead in this area, but if I don't continue or don't add to theirs, I may not have any chance of winning that or getting it back under control.
Yeah.
So, solid game.
Nice. All right. My number 10 is Dixit. And that is just a new to us game that we've had a lot of fun with this year. It's super simple. Someone's gonna, I think they read off a word or say a word or something, and then you have to play a card that kind of matches that word, and then you lay them all out for the people to see, and you're trying to get them to choose your card if you're not the active player, or you're trying as the active player to get them to guess anything, I think, but your card or something similar. So
Yeah, it's a kind of weird scoring in all the different scenarios that could happen with the votes as to how many points you score. But still, just that core kind of trying to match the word with the cards that you're dealt. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, kind of, it's a good party game, I think. So had to give it props for that.
My number 10 is a game that was on Michaela's just missed out list.
Oh.
I believe it was actually the last one you mentioned. Which
Oh.
That was in no order, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But this is Picture Perfect. Just a really cool, unique game. Kind of feels like Clue a little bit. But you have all these guests that you have to arrange on this little around the table board. And they all have like 3 requirements. Sometimes, I don't want to be next to any men. But then maybe they also say, I want to be next to this guy. And it's like, what do you want then? I cannot do both of those.
0 sum on that one.
And it's just so fun to kind of try to get all of those to work together and try to puzzle it out. And sometimes you get 2 that just really fit together. Sometimes 2 just do not work together at all. And sometimes you don't even know. You'd never see the information for a certain person, and you just maybe try to do some deduction of what cards would be left and requirements that would be left, and you try to place them in there somewhere, and sometimes that comes back to bite you and score negative points. But yeah, really, really cool game.
Yeah, I would agree. But then we'll get into my number 9, and this, I'm still not sure how to pronounce it, if it's Noctilica or Noctiluca. But this is a game from Shem Phillips, but it's through Z-Man Games, so it's not a Garfield game. But it's one where there's a board, and you'll roll all these dice and put them out onto the different areas of this board that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a grid type thing. And then you will eventually you get some pawns throughout the game, depending on the player count, you get a certain number of them, and then you will place it going and be going on a row and say a number, and you'll take all the dice matching that number that you say, and you're trying to complete these 2 cards that, you'll have 2 cards that you're working on at once, but you'll be trying to complete as many as you can, and they have different color slots, and you're trying to fill those in as quickly as you possibly can. So it just makes for some interesting decisions, because sometimes you could get a lot of dice and get a lot of work done on yours, but any leftover dice your opponents can end up taking kind of one at a time. It'll go around the table, which I think is what really makes it work. It's just really solid game. I don't even know what I would compare that mechanism to, of picking a number and getting all of that from a row.
Yeah, it feels like something so simple, but I haven't seen it done in any other games. It's crazy.
I just find that really satisfying.
All right, well, my number 9 is Rajas of the Ganges Dice Charmers. So I played this one just recently and only once, but I felt like this game was so rewarding and so much simpler and cleaner than Rajas of the Ganges, which I adore, but I was just like, wow, this is like a much quicker, like more rewarding version of that game. And so I was like, it's probably much simpler. So if you're gonna, if you want to pull out the main game, you could still do that. But I feel like this one has very similar elements without the worker placement piece of it. So, which isn't a deal breaker for me, because that's not like one of my favorite mechs, but it is one of yours. So.
Yeah, I think I still prefer the original Rajas, but I think this one does a pretty good job of capturing a lot of the pieces in Rajas, since it does have a lot of cool things going on. It did a really good job of capturing those.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can see with more plays, might end up beating it. But my number 9 is a crossover with a game on your list, and that is Blitzkrieg.
Shocking.
Oh boy.
Just so many tugs of war going on at once. So satisfying.
Tugs of wars.
That's what it should have been called.
Should have.
But yeah, just whenever you drop high point tile and just sway the entire operations to your side, and possibly even win it outright and just score a ton of benefits and bonuses. It's just so satisfying. And the special tiles, and there's even in the edition we have a little Godzilla for one side of the map which you can play, which I did end up winning the game by placing that Godzilla. And if you've got Godzilla in your game, you're going to make my top 10 of the year. That's just a fact.
That is just a fact. He's waiting for it, Unmatched Restoration Games. If you can get the rights to Godzilla.
Because the T-Rex wasn't enough.
T-Rex needs someone to battle.
Sasquatch isn't enough.
Well, maybe. We'll have to find out.
Once
we get Godzilla.
A triple threat.
All right.
Yes, because then T-Rex can have Kong, because we'll also get Kong. And then Godzilla gets Bigfoot, and we see the matchup.
There you go.
The one everyone's been waiting for.
Pitch it.
But no, my number 8 is a game that we've only actually played once, and we got it pretty recently, so I think my list has a little bit of recency bias.
As per usual. Zach is all about the hotness.
If you've been watching our channel at all, you'll know we're doing a challenge of A to Z games, so we haven't really gotten back to kind of the beginning of the alphabet as much as later on, and this one falls towards the late end, but we did also just get it delivered, and that is Resurgence. This one is one that has a bag building element that feels most similar bag building wise to Orleans, only I think this one adds just a new hint of things to do in that game, because we've played Orleans a lot and I really love Orleans, but this one just kind of gives a fresh take on that, where you are kind of pulling out your workers and you're still assigning them, but you're assigning them to 3 different areas, and that is kind of in itself, it's like area control / bidding to go up on tracks based on who ended up kind of putting the most people, most power in each of those areas. I really love how that works. It feels like it fits with the game. It seems like one of those things that could have felt tacked on, possibly, but I didn't feel that in the game at all. And yeah, just the way you can complete missions where you have to go to a specific location to do that mission. Kind of forces you to take different actions throughout the game, while they still feel beneficial. Because I don't think, I guess you were the one that got the faction that allowed you to complete a lot of those. Did you
Yeah.
ever feel like you were forced to go to a place?
Not really. I mean, the way they have it set up is very clever because you want a variety of spaces to go to, because when you complete the objective, then you add it down to your like little tableau, and at the end of a round you get bonuses for every single objective in a certain area, and so you kind of want a wide spread of those in order to help you in the next round, I think. I mean, you certainly could go heavy in one section, but I really liked that piece of it.
Yeah, so I think with more plays, it could go. I could see it going up even more, but there could be a chance that it might just be recency bias and could fall for me a little bit.
There's
but
always a chance.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hop all the way back to the beginning of the alphabet for my number 8. And this is a game that we played. And I was like, this is great. I love it. I forced you to play it a couple more times, even though we were already like getting through and we needed to get focused on our challenge. But it's one I've been wanting to get back to, and that is Aquatica. It's been a lot of fun to learn that game. I just think the way the cards work in that game is just so cool. Like how you buy them and then you can put them in your little ocean, and then you kind of scoot them up, and they kind of help you buy things for cheaper, and trying to kind of get some of these pieces in. So that game just made a really good, big impression on me when I played it. Those few times that we did kind of early on in the year, and it's one that I've wanted to get back to, and it's kind of like in my head, if Zach's going to ask me, other than our alphabet games, what are some games you want to play tonight? I've got like a handful of games that would be acceptable, and Aquatica has been on that list for quite a while. So,
And have you ever actually gotten to play it then?
I think we did somewhat recently, but then it was like we had to get on the alphabet real bad. So things have been halted for games we want to play or whatever.
And I think we ended up playing Red Rising quite a few times, so that kind of, when we were not on the letter, when we were not on the letter, that was kind of the one we were kind of getting to, which is fun too.
Yeah, for me, it's my fault.
Wow.
He's like, you're giving up your chances to play other games, so.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it was Stone Temper, so that really should count against him.
That's true.
That's true. That's the game we need to play for Stone Temper.
My number 8 is based on a video game, Sniper Elite, the board game. That's not the name of the video game. That would be weird. Sniper Elite, the board game, based on Sniper Elite, the video game. This is a hidden movement game, and it's also a little bit of bag building to kind of shoot the bad guys. But I just love hidden movement ever since we first played Jaws, the board game. I just love that one. Haven't been able to get that one to the table very often. It's kind of a longer game. And I feel like this does definitely shorten it and streamline it a little more, and make it a lot more approachable and variable as well, with different abilities for both the good and the bad guys. I've enjoyed every play of it, both sides that I've played.
Yeah, you haven't had the chance to play this one yet, but I think it's definitely an interesting game, and like I think I've said, I think I preferred being the sniper than the ones kind of capturing it, but I think it does work on both sides. There are fun things that you can do with both different sides, for sure. And I've found it to be pretty difficult to be the sniper, but
Oh, yeah.
I think you would
But you're
beg to
playing
differ.
against me.
That's true. I'm playing against a professional.
Champ!
The champ is here.
Nationally ranked.
In the video game that I've never played. But yeah, that's a good choice. For my number 7, I've got another game that I've only played once, another recency bias.
Oh boy.
But we did go back in the alphabet to play this one when it arrived, and that is Fall of the Mountain King. And I think if we had gotten back to playing this one again, it would probably be even higher on my list. But since it was only one play, I didn't want to get too hyped on it. But I really, really loved this game on our one play of it. And we played at 2 players, and a lot of what it is an area control game. So I was surprised at how well that worked, because I feel like a lot of area control games tend to just play better with more players kind of interacting for different spots. But it felt like there was still some good interaction between us, even though it was only a 2-player game, and I can't remember if the map is any different for higher player counts. Is there a back to the map?
I forget.
I don't remember if it's split up even more or not, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in this game. It's kind of, if you've played in the Hall of the Mountain King, that one's kind of got that interesting cascading pyramid resource thing. This one has a tableau that you're building, and you are kind of drafting these cards and then playing them on top of each other, and then you can take actions kind of based on how many of those symbols are kind of together if you want to.
Yeah.
And as you fill in spots, those kind of count as, I don't know if I'd call them wild spots, but spots that you can go through to connect future things. And it's just a really interesting mechanism that feels like it shouldn't work, but it just feels so clever, and it does work really well.
Yeah, I remember reading the rules for that, and it was just like, oh my god, this is awesome. I'm not even playing it yet, but this is awesome. And it is.
Yeah, we got the Kickstarter version with all the upgrade good stuff, and I'll say that it all looks really, really nice.
Oh boy.
It's got some foil stuff
All
on
right.
it as well.
All right, you've had your 5 minutes now. All right, my number 7 is Euphoria. So this is kind of an older game, but it's new to me. So I got to learn this when we played the East, and then again when we did our Stone Timber here, and I was just really impressed by it. It's a fun race game. It's new to me, so I think after a while replayability might not be there, but I just really think it's a unique and kind of simplified race game, and I had a lot of fun with that, learning it, and it's one I've been wanting to get back to the table since. So
Yeah, really good one. Having games that you've played that we have played in previous years.
Yeah.
I'm just having to check my list. Like you said, Aquatica, now Euphoria. I'm like, oh, wait. I should have thought of that one. But nope, I played that.
I'm
last
always a few years behind.
year. It's good. Get back to those games.
It works.
They can appear on multiple lists throughout the years. My next one is a solo game. This is a bag building game. It is Coffee Roaster. Not really a bag building game, bag cooking, bag manipulation game, because your bag starts out full, and just really love the upgrading of the beans and just trying to find the perfect time to actually go into that end game and pull those chips to the cup and try to nail it. Usually don't. Usually it's like, wow, I completely misjudged this. I needed to cook this for one, maybe 2 more rounds, or maybe should have stopped quite a bit earlier. But when it does work out just right, it's so satisfying.
Has it inspired either of you to start drinking coffee?
Not at all.
No, not even one bit. But I do find it to be an interesting theme too. Feels thematic. Feels like you're actually roasting them.
Yep.
You need to play it at some point.
That's what they keep saying.
One of these days you will. Then we get to my number 6, and this is one from Garphill Games, but was not designed by Shem. He probably helped develop it, I'm sure. But that is Hadrian's Wall. I believe the designer is Bobby Hill.
Oh,
I think that's who designed it.
I thought this would make your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these kind of, at this point, are all about the same, because these are all ones that I've played multiple times now, and they could really be any given day, no matter, or depending on what I'm feeling like doing, they could probably be right up there. But yeah, this one is a flip and write game where you are filling in these 2 huge sheets. If you've ever had a Garphill game before, or at least they're old ones with the smaller box size, both sheets are the size of that box exactly, because those pads, like you're feeling the box, you're like, okay, this is just a flip and write. Why is this so heavy? And it's just these thick pads of paper. But there's a lot going on in this game, a lot of different things you can do, but I feel like you can't do all of them, or at least I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And that's something that I really enjoy about it. It's one of the things I think kind of reminds me of Gone Shown Clever, but that one, I kind of feel like I have a thing that I'm going to kind of do every time, whereas this one, I really have no clue what the best thing to do is, but it has those satisfying bonuses.
Just a couple more plays, you'll get it down.
Just a few more. Yeah, it has the satisfying bonuses of going back and forth like a game like Gone's does.
Yeah.
Just make it stick out. If you like flip and write games and you tend to like Garphill games, this is going to feel like kind of, I think, exactly what you'd expect from a Garphill game in a flip and write version. I could have almost seen them actually just making a game out of this, or like a actual non flip and write game. because it has a lot of satisfying things in it. But
That's a good choice.
it's a great choice.
Great choice.
Now I'm just imagining it with boards and wooden components that you put on there.
There are
instead of-
wooden components.
Instead of drawing on your paper, that would be pretty. That'd be a pretty big board presence.
boy.
Table presence.
It probably would.
It already is huge.
Go pitch it. All right, my number 6
Deluxe.
is a game that has just been so solid this year, and that is Libertalia. I just have been having so much fun with that one. Kind of the whole starting out with the same set of cards and kind of adding to that, but you might all be keeping back different ones and trying to figure out who has what and how can I play this and can I flip the standard or the logical way to play this and use this in a different way to help me, and just trying to source out your opponents and figure out, okay, well, if I play this, then maybe I'll get this good or that good or whatever, and trying to kind of get your doubloons and booty up there. So it's just been one I've been having a lot of fun with, and it's really well put together, I think, too. It's just the components, we got the upgraded doubloons, but the cards, I just think it's really well put together. So I think that was 2 Stonemaier games back to back. So someone topped that. I didn't even realize that until just now.
Wow.
How many more
Well, I
will
think-
she have?
I guess unless we count, if anyone's counted an expansion that they came out with it for one of their games, that kind of feels like its own game. I don't know that we would have multiple. Oh yeah,
Possibly 2
I guess.
expansions. That can count as their own games.
right.
I should have done
Good
that.
job,
Never
Maggie.
would.
You're the biggest Stonemaier fan here.
Hey,
You gotta take that shirt off, Zach.
take it off. Just kidding. We might get YouTube rules violations
Exactly.
or something.
We'll just pixelate.
Yeah.
Just low under his neck. My number 6 is Cascadia.
Oh.
There was so much hype for this game, and I'm like, just a basic tile placement game? Ain't no way it's worth all that hype. Then we played it, and it is worth all that hype. It's token placement upon tile placement, and it's so satisfying. It's so easy to play as well. You could teach this. I think it's one anyone could play. And it's just so satisfying to think about where you want to place your tiles, to connect all these different terrain types into large groups, but then also printed on that tile is going to be a token symbol of what animals can be placed there. And of the 5 different animals, each of them has a different scoring condition. So there's just so many things to think about with each placement. And you're drafting a tile and a token at the same time. And it's just so ties together so perfectly, all of these things, and isn't overcomplicated at all.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much variability as well with all the different ways that each of the animals can score. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree 100% because that is my number 5, Cascadia. Yeah, this was one that I feel like we did not give much. I don't know if respect is the right word, but we didn't give much thought to. Didn't give it a second thought.
Too much clout.
Because I think it was the same
We're
people
trying to be cool.
that did Calico
Yeah.
or something, and I feel like that one kind of missed for both of us. It's interesting, but wasn't one of our favorites, and yeah, it wasn't totally pulled in by it. But yeah, once we played it, I was like, wow, I can see what all the hype is about because it just feels like one of those classic games, like a King Domino or even a Carcassonne, or even throw Ticket to Ride out there. I'm like, I think this is one that you could really use to introduce people to the hobby with.
Well, and it's going to be in the World Series board gaming tournament next year, so that should tell you how much or how revered it is in such a short time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and it'll be interesting. I don't think it needs expansions because it is so solid and you have those different scoring conditions, but it would be interesting to see if they did do that, if they would add
I don't believe you
new
signed
animals.
it. A game that doesn't need expansions? When has anyone ever
It
said
does
that?
need it. It does need them. Oh, they're
Yeah.
definitely.
Every game has
It's so
expansions.
popular. There's definitely going to be. But I've thought about. I don't know what
they
you
can
do though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
It'll just kind of go like the way of Ticket to Ride and just tackle different themes type
Yeah.
of thing.
Go to
Different
different
maps
areas.
instead of different terrains, different
That's
animals.
Continents.
Yeah.
Try to introduce maybe small mechanic changes.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Alright. Go pitch it. All right. My number 5 is not Cascadia, so it's not going to be a 3-way.
Is it going to be your 4? 6, 5, 4.
I almost put Cascadia on my not quite made the 10 list, but I didn't put it
So
on.
we need to make a third list. Not quite.
My number 5 is Dune Imperium, and when we played this, I just really loved it the first time we played it. And I just thought it's so unique the way, you know, the card drafting and whatever hand management went, and then add to it the different things on the board. And I was just like, wow, this is really, you know, cool how this works out. And I think we played it a couple of times since, and I was like, yeah, this is still pretty solid. Like, I'm still figuring it out, but we haven't gotten back to it. But when we were in Vegas for the World Series of Board Gaming back in September, I was like, there was so many people playing Dune Imperium, and I was like, can I go play Dune Imperium? Like, I just want to go, like, can I just go play Dune Imperium? And I didn't, but I should have, or maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But I was like, I'm not a professional, so I was like, I don't know that I want to go sit at a table and show these people just how bad I am. But I was like, man, it made me want to get to it so bad, and we haven't been able to, and so I really like it. I really like it.
Speaking of games that have been very hot and talked about after Cascadia, Dune Imperium and Cascadia have both been probably two of the hottest games over the last couple years.
For sure.
That's true. It was the last one in the board game tournament.
It was the one that decided the
championship game.
And I think a lot of people kind of agree that was kind of, it felt right that was the one that did that.
The best one. Not the best game, but the best one for the finale. And a game better than Dune Imperium.
Wow.
A game that I sadly haven't gotten back to in a long time. Otherwise, I feel like this could be top game. This is Return to Dark Tower.
Oh, okay.
Someone
just likes this $200 toy.
I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I do like the big electronic tower with the lights and the noise, and I get to drop little skulls into it. Just so unique. The table presence is like the greatest table presence that I've ever seen. And they okay.
Now, boys.
Okay, you want to fight? But every video we film always devolves into the
fist fighting.
But yeah, the app integration is awesome as well. I love the combat for this game and the use of advantages to upgrade cards so that your cost to defeat these enemies is made better. And also, there's so much going on. And it's so variable with the different baddies that you can use. Like, I think there's 5 levels of baddies, and you can choose a unique one each time, and then also choose a unique mission to do every game, and also unique heroes that you choose. And even with all of that, a turn structure is so simple and perfectly laid out on your board. I'd say it's probably even pandemic level of complexity for just a turn-to-turn basis on how to actually play the game. But there still is so much depth and variability, and it looks awesome.
It looks good.
I had fun with it, and I agree with you. I think they did a great job setting up that player board to make it as simple as possible.
That's true.
I feel like there are other games that I don't have as good of an understanding that I would put at like a similar level to that, and so I felt like, I feel like Return to Dark Tower did that really well. And I did like the combat on that one too. That it was way simpler.
You did a lot of that combat.
I did.
Zach did not get to do it.
I didn't get to do too much.
You got picked on by the tower, but it knew this review was coming.
Yeah, I didn't. I did not enjoy it as much as the others.
Yeah.
You'll just have to try it with the expansions.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
Well, let's get into a really good game now. It's my number 4. It may have been mentioned on your not make the list, and that is Furnace. This game is an awesome engine building game, like you said, in that. It does feel exactly like you'd think an engine building game would feel, because you're making this card produces these resources which you're going to use into this card, into that card, into that card, and you're trying to get points, because this is also a really quick game. And if you try too long or too hard to build your engine to something really cool, you're going to miss your opportunity to even score
Yeah.
points. You have to be scoring them from almost right away. Otherwise, I do think this game could suffer from, if you get too far behind
Yeah.
early, you're probably not going to be able to make it up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might just not get the cards that you need to really make your thing work. But no, I really love it, and that's, like you said too, that's not even the best part. The bidding is by far the best part of this game. It does not seem like it should work. It in the rules, I was like, okay, so in normal bidding, when like someone bids the highest amount, you just can't buy that anymore or
Yeah.
bid it anymore. But in this one, you kind of still can, because even when you don't win bids, you get a multiplier of what you bid with times a resource that's on top of the card you're bidding for additional resources that you get. So maybe you really don't actually want to win the card itself and its powers, but you do want some of those resources. So if someone else could maybe bid their 4 or 3 token on there, you could snag it with the 3 or 2 multiplier and get those resources for yourself.
Yeah.
Just so satisfying. I love the artwork in this game
Yeah.
too.
Really great production.
Do you like playing as the top hat, the glove, the pocket one?
The pocket one. And I think there's an expansion.
Oh,
We'll have to
boy.
see what that. I don't know that it changes too much. I think it adds
Yeah.
a 5th player maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure it's already in the cart.
I don't think I haven't seen any pre-orders or anything for it
No.
yet, so that's why I haven't heard anything about what it's all included or when that's even coming out.
Sure.
Probably 2025.
Sure.
So we'll just have to play it as is.
That's
Shoot.
fine. That's fine though.
It's already a 10, so.
Oh boy. Okay. My number 4 is Unmatched.
Ooh.
Heyo, which I refer to for most of this year as Goblin Fog.
This is true.
But it's kind of like, it's really not one you would think that would be in my wheelchair. My
She doesn't have a wheelchair that she keeps her games in to roll them around. She's not as dedicated as Jesse and myself.
well, my wheelhouse is what I was trying to say. Sorry. It's not one that you would typically think of, like, oh, Michaela's gonna like this one, and I would say that's probably pretty true. But look here, they're doing a bunch of literary characters, and so I'm like, all right, I'll play as Sherlock Holmes, because who doesn't want to play as like one of their favorite literary heroes? And so I was like, yeah, we'll do this. And like, I wouldn't say like the movement is hard for me, but like the cards and like it's getting easier to try and figure out like, okay, so like I can do this, and maybe like with the movement, this is what I should do, and like here's what I know what I can do with my cards. And so like it's really just kind of an Outlast situation. And yeah, I just have been having a lot of fun playing some different characters and trying to get that W, which I've lost every time except for when I played Beowulf, who's my guy now. So no one touch him, he's mine. And Wiglaf, which I sacrificed to Robin Hood, but and his merry men. But Beowulf avenged him.
Yeah. I'm glad you like that game.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, if I'm not always in the mood to play it or not here, at least now I know he has someone to play one of his favorite games.
This one actually made it on my list for last year, because you did not play it when we
No.
originally had it, and it snuck on the list because we had played it right before we
Oh,
made that
yeah.
list, and it
Yeah.
got it into the 10 spot. And now if you watched our top 50 from this year, you saw that it really made a move for me.
We just jumped up from that original Goblin Fog to
Yeah.
so many freaking characters.
Well,
so many
I will
boxes.
say I'm not super interested in playing every single character that we have, so don't ask
What
me.
do you have against the T-Rex?
Don't ask me to play
Or the
Jeff
Velociraptors?
Goldblum or whatever. Like,
Well, he's the
He's the
sidekick.
sidekick.
oh, okay, I see.
He can play Sattler.
Then why does he have a standee character?
Yeah, that's a
That was
special one.
special
Oh, okay.
add-on or whatever we got.
Mhm.
You don't ask how much it cost.
Don't
It was
even
worth
begin
it.
to ask.
My
Oh, boy.
number 4 was a game that I played online a long time ago and kind of lost interest in it. But you had pre-ordered it, you had backed it on Kickstarter. And I had no clue what was going on when we played, still ended up winning online. And it finally delivered, and you guys fell in love with it. I'm sure it'll show up on their list. And I did as well.
Spoilers.
It's Planet Unknown. It's a phenomenal polyomino game with so much variability as well in all of your planets. I don't like in the teens, like 16 or something. Huge planet boards, each with unique rules if you play with the flip side, and the same with corporations that you pair with that, unique benefits and bonuses. It's just so... It's kind of like Tapestry, just all the civilizations, and it's just like, I just want to try all of these. And on top of that, it's just a great polyomino game and track movement as well. But I'm sure you guys can talk, at least one of you could talk about it a little later, I'm sure.
Maybe.
It's a good choice.
We'll have to see. It is a fair choice. We'll get into my number 3, which I'm going to get to this before someone else might say it. I am obsessed with this game. And that is Obsession.
Wow.
This one is one that I had kind of been waiting to get because, it was hard to get, and I knew they were doing a second printing or third, whatever printing it was, at some point, but I had gotten on some mailing list as to when that was going to be, and it finally became available, and then we ended up getting to play it this year a few times. Ended up getting all the content. We haven't played with everything yet.
Yeah.
We did finally play with one of the expansions this last time we played it, I think.
Which is barely anything at all.
Yeah, we probably could have added it on, but there's quite a bit going on in this game, but there's a lot of satisfying parts to it. You're pretty much getting different rooms, or it's not all rooms, but activities and things that you can do, and adding them to your kind of tableau, and then you can later on hopefully trigger those things with this hand of cards that you've built up and take a bunch of actions all at once potentially, and it just makes for some really satisfying things, and it feels really thematic to me because you have these people. I don't know. Some of the people you could tell are nasty people, so they give you like minus points and all this stuff. The whole package is just really great, and ever since the beginning when I ordered it all, and the guy that runs the company and I think designed the game just sent an email saying how don't start with everything and do this. The whole experience of this whole game has just been really solid from beginning to our last play of it.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 is Forgotten Waters, and we played this one quite a few times this year, and so every time I think I've had just a ton of fun with it. I think the only time we didn't actually pass it is when we played it with Jesse. It was the only time we failed. But
Wait a minute. I think the only time I failed was when I was with Jesse.
Saboteur!
What is he doing? The traitor! I didn't know there was a traitor in this game.
Oh man, I wonder if that just means it can't be beat at 4 players.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a little thing in the box, the first one to find it, and Jesse read it. You will always be a traitor from this point on. Anytime you play this game.
Do whatever
I
does
think we
not
should go right
you.
into these rocks, guys.
It's great. It's like a D&D campaign, but like way simplified down to like 4 hours, and it's great to just go and sit down at the table. You don't really got to think about it too much. You know, the actions for you are preconceived. You're kind of, which is great because, you know, you're trying to do this group goal and you also have your personal goals. And so I feel like it's enough that it's like it gives you enough to think about, while at the same time it allows you to work cooperatively to kind of get to the end goal. And the interactive, I don't know what it is, if it's like an app or whatever, but like they read every encounter to you in like the greatest pirate voice, and like they have just really funny quips and like storyline and stuff, so it's so engaging and fun, and it's just been really great. There was a separate game that's kind of similar to this that we played earlier this year, and like after I played Forgotten Waters, I was like, that other game is just no, I'm done with it. I only want to play this one.
He's talking about Sleeping Gods.
I was like, I only want to
I've not got them to play that again.
So it's all around like it's simple and clean and just fun. It's really not that difficult, which probably is why you might not prefer it over Sleeping Gods or whatever, and these things are preconceived, but we are running out of stories here soon, so.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like you said, it's not that complicated of a game or that much depth, but it can still entertain you for that 4 hours, the
Yeah.
entire 4 hours. And
Exactly.
you're just like, yeah, let's keep going, because the story and narration is just so good.
Yeah.
And it all depends on like dice rolls and stuff
yeah.
too. So it's like, you know, there is enough of it there too.
And the timer portion is what makes the game work.
Yeah.
Where you're forced to take or pick an action based on just a very small
Yeah.
piece of information. That's that's what makes the whole game work.
For sure.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work at all.
Right.
For sure.
I guess which one do you prefer, that or D&D?
They both have virtues.
You're wrong. It's Forgotten Waters. It's an amazing game. I think it might have been on my list last year, or we already played it last year, so it was not on my list this year.
My number 3. Probably gonna shock you guys. Maybe a little bit.
It's Obsession.
I actually forgot about that one. I should have put that on my just missed out list. I
Oh
really
my
like
God.
that. My number 3 is a flip and right game. And it's the only game that I've played on an airplane.
Oh boy.
Metro
Hadrian's Wall!
X.
You can't even fit one of those pieces of paper on the tray.
You'd have to ask your neighbor, hey, can I use your tray?
Oh, that'd be great. But Metro X, it's crazy because there's like no bonuses in this game, no chaining effects, but I still love it so much. It's so satisfying, and it's hard to wrap your head around the way the game works for your first few plays, because you have like 9 different routes that you're trying to fill their spots by flipping numbered cards, moving that many spaces along the tracks. But you can only enter so many numbers into each route, and you're trying to get them to their ends, and they're intersecting, and if you run into an already filled in spot, maybe due from an intersection, and having gone through it already, then you stop. Even if you had extra movement, you're going to have to stop at that filled in spot. And so it's just very unique thinking. And the puzzle of, okay, what's the order that I have to do this? That I have to maybe work on this red one before I work on the green one, or maybe if I fill this one in, they are sharing like 4 spots in a row here. That's going to really help boost that other track. It's just so unique, and the game can change just in the order the cards come out. Sometimes the deck refreshes like 3-4 times. Like we had a crazy game in Vegas where it was just like the same 2 cards over and over and over again. We've had other ones where it just doesn't refresh almost the entire game. Just have loved this one every single play.
Yeah,
It's a good game.
It is. I think I've liked it more and more as we've played it more and more. I think my initial thoughts on it weren't too high, like you said. I think it takes a little bit to get your mind wrapped around
I liked my first play where I didn't realize the rules and I got way better scores than I thought possible.
Wow, this is easy. I
I was like, you mean you have to follow this track? I can't just make a hole? You can't just keep that hole
Mackie,
there?
you cheater.
I did. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. There's a lot going on, so you're not really, but you know.
Well, my number 2, I don't know, it may be on someone else's list, I think, but it is a game that was my most shocking to me of the year. That is Cthulhu Death May Die. I had no interest in a Cthulhu game, and when you said that, or when you got this and stuff, I'm like, oh, Pepper, Cthulhu, what are you even getting yourself into? And at that point, I knew nothing about how the game played or any of that. I just had no interest. I think mostly I thought of like the Eldritch Horror stuff, where it's all like these story-driven games, and I really don't think I would have any interest in that. But in my head, that's kind of what I imagined. But this is anything but that. It's to me, it's felt like it's just a fast-paced, rolling a ton of dice game, and you're just killing all these baddies and trying to survive the insanity. You're getting more and more powerful as the game goes on, as you're getting more and more insane, unlocking these abilities, and then just using all the different characters. It's not like it's that different from character to character, but I find it fun to play as them and kind of get into that character, and I think that helps kind of bring the game even to that extra level. And it just can create some of those games where you'll just remember kind of what happened for a long time afterwards. So, this is I don't know. I feel like maybe it gets a little extra bump compared to some of these because I was not
Oh,
not
yep.
looking forward to
Yep.
playing it that much. That might be part of it, but it's a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna cross over with Jesse here, not a number, but one that's on your list, and that is Planet Unknown. So, like Jesse said, this is a solid polyomino game. The little lazy Susan that holds all your polyominoes is fabulous. I love your little rovers. I love your little meteorites. The artwork, like all of it, is just so solid, and it's so much fun, and it's so easy and approachable to play, and like at the same time, it's still puzzling, you know. So, depending on what planet you play, anyway, and so it's just so solid. It's been like probably easily one of our most played newer games this year, and I think one we've likely taught the most.
Yep.
Which, you know, we don't have a lot of people to teach, but it is probably one we've taught the most. Just
Yeah,
so,
This does feel like the star of the year.
Yeah.
For just games that you're like, hey guys, check out this new game.
it's like one of the, it's becoming one of the like go-to, like, oh, we haven't played Planet Unknown in a while, so we can bring that one out. That's a quick, you know, everyone knows how to play it, end of the night game. So it kind of took the place of Wonderful World.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like Wonderful World used to
Yeah,
be.
Wonderful World still is.
it is still solid.
That's the other engine building game that's amazing.
Yeah.
That and Furnace. Ooh. Tug at my heartstrings.
Tug.
I don't know which one's gonna win.
You can only have one. My number two struggled throughout the year, these two kind of going back and forth, my top two. But I've settled on this, maybe because of some recent excitement for my number one and possible future content for it.
Oh boy.
So my number two is Dinogenics. Just absolutely love this game. It's the amazing dinosaur theme that comes through 100%, and it's different than Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island because this feels so classic. It's like a classic worker placement game from the components, which are amazing wooden components, the wooden fences and the dual layered boards, and just the artwork. It's such a different feel from the other two, and it just feels more grounded and natural. I just love the look of the game, and the gameplay as well is so, it just really feels like you're building it. And that's the same way with all the dinosaur games. Love them all. Go check out our Dinomania playlist for all our thoughts. But yeah, just absolutely love this game. Kind of makes me upset that it took so long for us to actually get this game, because I'm like, oh my god, we could have had this for years and years. We just got it, but
And you
So
haven't
good.
played it yet.
yeah, I think this would. You're not a huge fan of the Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur World, but I think this
No.
would be your favorite.
I think you'd like this one much more.
Yeah.
This one.
Chaos. There can be
Chaos.
great chaos in this game, which you may have experienced in
You'll have to
I
watch
was
our
just-
playthrough of it.
playthrough.
I was just starting to like Dinosaur Island, and then you guys are like, ah, these ones are better. And I'm like, ah, come on.
That one's still solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys don't want to play it now. You'd rather play one of your other fancy dino games out of the 18 million
Maybe.
we have.
But let's get to my number one, which will become a three-way crossover. And this one took years to deliver. It's one that I backed on Kickstarter at, now looking back, seems like an amazing price of $60. Because you look at Kickstarters now, and it's just like, you want a game like this, it's going to be $120, $150.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed for most Kickstarters these. And through the pandemic and all that, I was a little worried because it was a smaller company and they, had added all these good stretch goals and stuff. And I'm just so glad that Adam's Apples game was able to deliver this and didn't cut any corners or anything and just made this solid production of a game, and that's Planet Unknown. And yeah, it's crazy how much the Lazy Susan just makes the game work so well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that a component like that would do it. You'd think, oh, this is just a gimmick. But without that, it would not be the same game.
No.
Not
And
at all.
it's amazing how well it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome polyomino game. Beats Isle of Cats out. Might be a
It's
challenge.
close. It's getting closer.
Oh
We might have
boy!
to do it. We might have to do a comparison.
What's Isle of Cats?
Wow. Okay,
Even
you
he-
gotta give a
even
little
he
more
has to
respect
say
about
wow to that.
Look,
Wow.
I took I Love Cats off my top 50. I was like, nope, we're done.
that. Wow.
Because Planet Unknown is that good.
Planet Unknown is trash. It's off the top 10.
Oh
That's great.
gosh, no. All right, my number one is a crossover with Zach. As he probably knew, this was going to be on my top 10, and he stole my line. I can't say I'm obsessed with it, but I can say I'm intrigued by it, because I think one of the lines is pride, intrigue,
It is.
and whatever in Victorian
I'm
England or
prideful,
whatever.
intrigued.
So that is Obsession, and I think I've said this story like 4 times now because it's come up in different videos, but you'd asked me if I wanted this because I like Jane Austen, and it's kind of loosely associated with that, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I want it to be, something very specific, and if it's not that, I might be like highly disappointed, and so I was really surprised because you had kind of been asking about it, but I'd never given you a solid answer, and for Christmas last year, I got this stack of stuff, and I was like, I don't know what this, like, I truly had no idea, and I opened it, and I'm like, oh, you got me Obsession, and I was like, oh boy, and then I think it took me about, like, 4 months to get it to the table, and we played it, and I was like, stop it right now, this is amazing, this game is everything, it, like, jumped straight into my top 10 this year from my top 50, I was like, it's perfect, like, I love it so much, you have cards that you have to play with, and your manner, and, like, the whole theme of it, it's just spot on, it's really great, so, it's probably likely gonna even move up in my top 10 still, because we'll see what the expansions do for it, but it's so solid. I love it so much.
Mhm.
Just so happy that you do. I mean, I didn't have much investment in this, but I am just so happy that you do like that game. Because it's like, well, just because you love the theme
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean they'll
Right.
hit the mark with kind of the game and the difficulty, complexity, if it
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
But it does.
And I think too, like, it's like if you threw a different theme on there, I do wonder, because I'm like, because of the theme, it makes it all make sense. And so if it was a different theme and it didn't work out
I say
so
it
well,
as an expert, I agree.
I wonder. Yeah, yeah,
I know that theme so well.
yeah. We'll watch some movies later. We'll get you up to date.
Ooh,
Just
yay.
like, please no,
Oh, yeah.
not the petticoat ones.
Another theme that I actually don't know much about is the Lovecraftian theme and Cthulhu. But still, Dice Tower playthrough looked amazing. Got me to pull the trigger on Cthulhu Death May Die. And you weren't too interested, and I'm like, okay, this might be a huge miss. Possibly. This is just complete chaos. And even if he doesn't like it, and I do like it, at least I can play it solo. It's cooperative. And I absolutely loved it from my very first play, and I'm so glad that you love it too, and that gave me the courage to go in for a few $100s for the recent Kickstarter of seasons 3 and 4 and some extra things as well.
Whose credit card is that on? Oh
No
dear.
But yeah, it's just, I think that recent excitement kind of just gave this the edge, because this and Dinogenix are just so close. Both perfect games to me, but this just has that Kickstarter juice edge it out. But yeah,
Juice.
just the moments that it creates, running around the map, gathering baddies, chucking dice, blowing everything up. It's just amazing. You just remember those forever.
Mm-hmm.
You guys might actually like D&D if you played it, now that I'm hearing all these things.
In D&D, do you often chuck 6, 7 dice at once?
Not
You have to
usually.
re-chuck dice because you're rolling so many they don't have enough in the game. That's how many dice you're chucking.
All I remember from that one play of D&D, so maybe it could be different, and the different games is one die like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not quite as exciting as
Yeah.
Death May Die.
D&D versus DMD.
Wow.
The video everyone's been waiting for.
Wow.
But no, those are our top 10 lists. I'm surprised I would have almost just thought there'd be a little more crossover. There was a decent amount, but not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
It was good mix of games. Granted, I had a few newer ones, which I don't even know if you've played a couple of them. But, yeah. So those are all of our favorite games. Apparently Planet Unknown is
Just two.
probably the overall
Just 2 I haven't.
winner.
Only three-way crossover, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's been some on your list, though, were
Yeah.
ones that we had
Just
already
missed out.
played. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
obviously
Okay.
that. But yeah, so that was our top 10 new to us games of 2022. Let us know in the comments below what your favorite game was, new one that you played this year, whether it be a brand new 2022 release or maybe an older one that you finally got the chance to play.
Something that's like 10 years old, like Euphoria.
Something like that. But otherwise, definitely check out the giveaway that we're doing. And we hope to see you on our future videos. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.